Let's dive into literally everything that you need to know to confidently scale your Facebook ads. What I've done at $50 day accounts and $50,000 day accounts. How I have basically for every single year since 2018 been able to take brands from 3,000 a day to 30, 10,000 to 50. How I've been able to regularly scale businesses from 6 to 8 and 7 to 9 figures over and over and over again with extremely high confidence and basically 100% hit rate. So let's dive into this, because scaling Facebook ads is an essential skill every marketer must have, and also something that 90% of people do terribly wrong. So that being said, let's dive in. First, we have to understand something. Why does my ad do worse when I raise my budget? Do worse? Well, when you raise budgets, a less efficient CPA is to be expected. Remember, the algebra on the Facebook platform is bid equals estimated action rate and your budget and your advertising score. So this is a given, which is why when we scale results, we have to understand how the platform works and how to become more efficient to give us a better profitable scaling margin. That's the secret. It has nothing to do with ROAS, by the way. Let's break it down. When you ask the machine to work harder and reach new people, the quality and maturity of those people's customer journey will be inherently less. We cannot expect more people who we've talked to less to behave as good or better than those relationships we've already curated. That doesn't make any sense. Your success has nothing to do with who's ready to buy right now. And it has everything to do with how many profitable customer journeys you can curate and how you can most effectively curate them at scale with either a larger margin or a greater volume or both. And you have to change the way you think about Facebook ads from being a short con into being an actual business. Scaling has very little to do with increasing spend. It's about getting more for what you do spend. Making the work that you do better is always going to be a more sustainable solution than making it worse by asking the machine to do more work for you. Now, that's just simple math, but we have to understand what that really means. You can't get a better result by asking people to behave in the same way that more qualified people do. And you sure as hell are never going to get there without improving what happens after somebody clicks. So when we talk about PSM, profitable scaling margin, it is that lifetime value. It is the CPA. It is COGS. And we have to understand how Facebook fits into our omni-channel effort. So what is a profitable scaling margin? Let's break this down, because this is the thing that matters more than anything. It is the difference between your current CPA and what you can afford to pay. Remember, ROAS is a highly volatile metric for many reasons. The simplest being that AOV of any one sale can vary wildly and is completely uncontrollable. CPA is what actually matters. The ROAS is CPA from AOV. But are you in control whether somebody spends $20 or $2,000 in your store? No. So you have no control over that number, which means you can't measure it and you can't improve it. You can only report on it in a way that honestly your finance department doesn't give a shit about. Remaining profitable requires that you do not pay more money than you can afford to acquire a conversion. Now, I understand that sounds really basic, but this is a fundamental truth we have to understand. As budgets scale and CPAs rise, we will ultimately reach a plateau where costs become undesirable. The solution is to scale by creating a greater margin, basically making the work that you do better. The easiest way of doing this is by improving estimated action. We'll get to that in a minute, but we have to understand Facebook is a machine learning algorithm. that uses data. If you try to fight that data by using your own instinct and intellect, you're going to lose. You can't stop the wind or the tide. Now, the way we can make an ad do better for us is by improving the estimated action rate of our ads via creative testing, or we can improve the advertiser score by making our site and our customer experience better. Both of those things will improve our bid, especially as we raise budgets. But if the budget is the same, we can only improve the estimated action rate or the advertiser score. That's it. Fun fact, audiences, bid caps, and cost caps are in no way an effective fashion of making your ad better. So at best, they'll never actually solve the problem, which is why we don't use audiences or bid caps or cost caps as any sustainable solution when trying to scale a business. At best, you're going to get a short efficiency win that probably shows up more on reporting than it does on the bottom line of your business. Lowering your CPA without focusing on improving the ad or the data being used is an unsustainable method. How many times have you launched an ad set and then turned it off? How many times have you turned off an ad set? If the answer is more than never, you're investing in the development of assets that depreciate in value. That's a waste of your money. Now, obviously, when running tests, those turn off because of other reasons, but ultimately, if you're using an audience other than broad, you're really inhibiting the overall growth of your business for so many other reasons. Remember, when the law of diminishing returns on the ability to hack Facebook is reached, things get bad really, really quick. And then we have to start all over from a slightly worse place than when we started. Let's cover automated rules. How to never touch budgets ever again. Fun fact, nearly all of my ad accounts for every of the businesses that I've scaled from 6 to 8 figures or 7 to 9 figures, which I do several times a year and have been doing for several years in a row, they're almost all completely automated. Because once an ad account is simplified down to simply creative testing to improve estimated action rate, we can begin to rely on automated rules to invest into our profitable scaling margin. Manually changing budgets to drive success for an account is completely not necessary. It's also a slightly arbitrary decision point that we have to make, and we can get emotionally involved, and it requires you to do work. And let's be fair, when you're not using data, instead you're using instinct and emotion to take action, you're working in the business instead of on it, which means you're not going to scale that business. When you can get a stable result, that's our focus. Now, stable results based on consistent outcome ranges are easy to project and to then manage automatically. If you can write your business rule on a sticky note, right? And you know me, I got sticky notes all over the place. Then you can write a good enough automated rule to do 90% of the budget optimization that your ad account will ever need moving forward. Also, when your results are stable, that also means that you can start to project everything that happens after the click. And you can understand the value and volume of and cost of every part of the funnel and the journey. Because remember, the journey starts at the end of the funnel. A sale is not an acquisition of a customer. And if your CPA is volatile because you're doing bid hacks and audiences and all of this other drama and liability stuff to make you feel good, you're never going to be able to work on everything that will actually 10x your business, and hopefully you get 10% better. Now, the design of these rules is extremely simple. What's my maximum allowable cost for a conversion? When I've done my PSM calculation, what is the highest CPA that I can afford? Cool. Now that you know that, what is my current trailing 7 cost for a conversion? What is my average cost over the last 7 days? Now, if the margin between my trailing 7 and my allowable cost is large enough, increase my spend by a set amount and do that on a periodic table. For instance, if my goal is 50 and I'm coming in at 45, hey, I'm 10% better than my goal. Increase the budget by 5%. Do that Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You'd be stunned how much you're going to increase that budget. In a month or two, you might easily double or triple your daily investment. Now, it doesn't have to be more difficult than that at all. If you reject audiences, you get rid of retargeting, you stop worrying about big caps and cost caps, and instead get one campaign at broad where all you're doing is creative testing to improve the estimated action rate and then increasing the budget as your blended trailing 7 becomes lower than your allowable CPA, you don't ever have to do any of this work ever again. You've completely eliminated 80% of the day work that any media buyer thinks they have to do. Your job is to be the manager. It's called ads manager for a reason. QA the decision making on a daily basis, and that can take less than 30 seconds, a couple of days a week. Can I afford to spend this much? Yes or no? Yes. Awesome. Done. I can go home now.